See, how old were you at this time?
17. So um, I remember one day we went home and the house that we rented, I still don't, to this day, don't know the story. And we got home that day and there was police at the house along with a lady on top of her voice screaming that this is her house and she did not rent it to anyone and they were just throwing the stuff outside.
For centuries, people have left their homes, friends, and loved ones with their goals in mind and their dreams in heart, searching for the American dream. What we don't know is the journey behind these stories. So come along with me as we explore and bring light to their stories on my journey to America.
Welcome back to this channel. Welcome back to this channel, the My Journey to America podcast. And the person stopping through today for conversation is Yanique. Yanique is from Jamaica. I'm going to give her a chance to just introduce herself. And we're going to really go back and come forward because we like success stories. We like the stories of triumph. And this is one for the take. So Yanique, go ahead, my friend. Tell us.
Thank you so much for having me, Kevin. My name is Yanique, as Kevin mentioned. I am from Jamaica. I moved to America about 5 years ago. I have a little boy, he's 4. I grew up with a single mom. So my mom had 4 of us, and I was the oldest. I'm still the oldest of 4. So yeah, that's really where my foundation started, back in Jamaica in Central Village. So we can talk a little bit more about that.
Of course, yeah. What was it like growing up in Central Village? Because Central Village, unfortunately, come with a stigma. What was it like growing up in Central Village?
It was rough. Central Village is rough. As some of you may know, we refer to areas or community like that as the ghetto, as a project or garrison. I'm not sure what term you're familiar with, but for me, it was dirt road, zinc fences, zinc roof, and just a lot of violence, actually.
Wow. Zinc fence. I can still hear the rain on the zinc fences. Anyway, so from a financial standpoint, though, you say you grew up with your mom. From a financial standpoint, how was it for Yanique?
Well, we started out in an extended family setting. So a lot of uncles and aunts, we all lived in a small house. And so financially, we were all trying to contribute to ensure that everybody eat, but it wasn't easy. And so it got to a point where my mom decided that she was ready to venture out on her own, and whatever it took. We even, I think when I think back on it, our first place that she got, we never really had bed and stuff like that. We actually decided whatever we had to start with, that's where we're gonna start.
What were some of the things that you guys slept on?
Concrete.
Concrete.
Early stages where we just would spread our towel and our sheet and just make it work until we're able to get to bed.
Was this a 1-bedroom house?
It wasn't even a bedroom. It was more like, I would categorize it as a studio.
As a studio, everything you want.
Yes.
Wow.
At that time, it was just mommy and I. So my brothers and sisters weren't in the pictures yet.
Okay, so your mommy had a close bond then.
Yes.
Okay, talk to us about.
So
Sorry, go ahead.
my late stepdad, I like to consider myself lucky because I had 2 dads. And my stepdad, who was the one who provided me all the love and care. And of course, I had my biological dad, who, even though he wasn't in Jamaica, he provided for me financially from a distance. So,
which is good, which is really good. Now, All right, let's go for schooling. Let's talk about schooling. Where did you went to school?
Started out in Central Village at Christ Temple Basic School. That's right off the main street of Central Village Main Street. And when I left there, I went to Spanish Town Primary.
Regular?
Graduated from Spanish Town Primary to right across the street, something that I was very disappointed in. I'm like, I didn't want to just stay in the same area, but I went right across the street to Jonathan Grant High School, and that's where I finished up high school.
You wanted to travel on bus.
Yeah, I want to go on bus and just stay somewhere new. So I wasn't excited about that.
Okay, so so let's go to Jonathan Grant.
Yes.
As a young girl, though, growing up in the community in Central Village, was there any stigma attached? In other words, were people creating your future, to put it nicely?
Yes, definitely. I was told I was gonna have a lot of kids and I wasn't gonna become anything, and that I'm just gonna be like the other girls in the community. So that the stigma is either you die, unfortunately, because I have a lot of friends who have passed away. Is either you die, you go to jail, you get pregnant by the men in the community, or you make it out. And luckily for me, I actually was able to make it out.
Did you have a drive? What was that drive?
That I wanted to make a difference. So I saw the struggles that my mom faced, and just the community on a whole. And I was like, no, that's not going to be my story. I need to find a way out. So that drove my desire from a very young age, just watching everything unfold, and all the people that I grew up with dying or going to jail. I knew my story.
Okay. I can imagine how mommy was overprotective, knowing that a lot of probably teenage pregnancy.
My mom was very busy. So my mom, she had businesses. So she eventually, as we continued to grow, she ended up having a restaurant, a bar, and a grocery shop. So she spent a lot of time working. And so a lot of it is me mentally telling myself this is not what I wanted for myself. Because mommy was actually very busy.
Okay. And at what point did the siblings came into the picture? How old were you then?
My first brother came into the picture, I think, when I was 5. And then maybe 7. And then my last brother when I was about 17.
Okay, wow. So right away you had leadership role.
Oh, yeah. In the first, always comes with some level of leadership, and I definitely played that role to the T.
You mentioned that your mom had businesses, right? And you have siblings.
Yes.
Tell us about the role that you had to play managing schoolwork and helping out with the siblings.
Yeah, so I went to school, and as soon as school was over, I was on the morning shift. So school started at 7 and ended at 12:30. And as soon as school was done, straight home. Like, I didn't have time to stop and play and have fun with my classmates after school. That wasn't my story. And so I had to rush home, going to the shop with my books. So my books are in front of me. When somebody comes and says, serve, I serve them, I give them what they want, and go straight back to the books. So my study time was spent inside the restaurant or the grocery shop doing what I need to do. And then when my brother and sister came home in the evening, that would be time for me to go and get them ready for bed, help them with whatever work they have to do, and provide their dinner. Because I became basically the leader in the house, while mommy had to do what she had to do to take care of us.
So you were cooking at a young age?
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. Well, luckily for us, actually, we didn't have to cook. because the restaurant was right there in front.
Oh, so mommy had a restaurant business.
Yeah, so we didn't cook. So we would just come home and get the food from the restaurant and then eat. So there wasn't much cooking going on.
As a young girl, though, given this responsibility, talk to us from a mindset standpoint, because back in those days, you probably want to play dandy shandy and stuff like that with other girls, but you were robbed from your childhood, or how was that?
So I watched Dandy Shandy from the shop door. I watched them play. There were days, like maybe on Sundays when the restaurant wasn't open, then I would get to go out and have a little bit of fun. But there were times I was like, wow, they're out, everybody, all the girls on the street doing what? No, having fun, but I'm stuck in the restaurant. So there were times when I actually felt like that. But I also knew that I had to do what I had to do to help my mom. So I never allowed it to really fester in my mind as to what I wasn't able to do. And I think today, if I was out on the street that often and doing what the other girls were doing, my life would probably be a little bit different.
All things work together for the good, right? To them that believe. Okay. All right. Talk to us about communication with your dad. Because then probably there was no cell phone like that.
Wow.
Let's see, did you communicate through letters, or you just know that he's away?
Yeah. Actually, I don't remember how we communicated before cell phone.
Oh, was that big?
Yeah, I don't remember. Like, I think for me, I know there must have been a way because every time I want money, I would get it. So, I think there was a payphone, of course. I would go to the payphone and make calls there. And then I got my first cell phone when I was 13. So my mom would have me call daddy and ask him, hey, daddy, I want this or I want that. And daddy would send it for me. Of course, he would be like, every time your mother tell you to call me for money, but but yeah. So I think before that, it was probably just the paid phones.
Mm-hmm. You made mention of Jonathan Grant High School.
Yeah.
So for those who are watching, in Jamaica, you have to sit an exam called Common Entrance to go to high school.
But
having to take care of the kids, helping the shop, how did you manage that process?
So there was this thing called private lesson, and that take place after school. So at 30, you best believe you're gonna go to private class at about 1 o'clock. I wasn't able to do that for more than one reason. Financially, we couldn't afford it. And also time. I had to go home to help. So I didn't have time to really do that extra studying. And so when it came down to recommendation for common entrance, so it's a given that you will do common entrance in grade 6. It's not a given that you'll be recommended to do it in grade 5. But I knew I was capable of passing it in grade 5, but my teacher didn't believe in me like that because I didn't do private class. And so I went to him and I said, Mommy, Miss, I won't call her name. The teacher said that I can't do the exam because I haven't done private class. And so my mom went and she spoke to them and they said no. And I remember she went to the principal's office and she cried. She's like, give her a chance. Not because she didn't do private lesson doesn't mean she won't pass. And so they eventually obliged her and I ended up getting to do the exam. And I passed. So I left primary school. From some of you, it's called elementary at 11 and started high school at that time.
How you felt?
I have a picture.
Tell us about the feeling, hold on, to see your mom pleading your case for you to do the common entrance.
I felt represented. I felt like my mom had my back. I felt like my mom believed in me. And so I oftentimes refer to that story as the first time I really believed in myself, because I just thought I can't let my mom down. After she came and cried on the place, I
Yeah.
can't fail the exam now and then give them a reason to say, see, I told you. So I knew I had to do whatever it takes to pass that exam, and that's what I did. So I felt really good that my mom came and supported me like that.
Give a shout out to mommy.
Big up yourself, mommy, and thank you so much for paving the way, because that was the first time I actually believe in myself that I can do anything I put my mind to.
And that's important, because even though you were doing all that stuff, helping in the shop, doing your schoolwork, and eh, you lack self-confidence, mommy plead and put that in you.
Yes, I lack self-confidence for various reasons, because the kids were mean to me in primary school. So
Explain to us, what do you mean by mean?
So there, I would consider it, as American would say, bully. They bullied me a lot. One, as I mentioned, I didn't have much, so didn't have the nicest shoes or the nicest bag. And then to top it off, they said I have a big forehead, so they would call me names.
No, you don't.
I do say that big, but no, it's my beauty. So they would call the big fire girl. They would do. I remember there was a group of girls who there's a graveyard close to Spanish Town Primary, and they wrote my name on the piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "I'm gonna put it on the grave until the dead to wake up and come for you." So I thought I put it on.
Wow. Okay.
So,
Yeah. But you have overcome.
yes, definitely. Definitely. I went to Jonathan Grant, and I passed 5 subjects. So I was extremely excited about that again, because, as you know, my life wasn't as forward as many. I was not only going to school, I was helping with my siblings, and I was also working in the shops. So having gotten to the point where I actually was able to pass my 60s, I was happy about that.
What is the most difficult time living in Central Village?
I experienced what we call a cowboy movie. That picture has never left my mind. I think that would probably be the most difficult time, where the gunshots and the times we have to run and close the doors of the businesses because there was violence. I remember watching a full ball field. So for those of you know, a ball field is a full circle. And the way
The soccer field.
Soccer field.
In America, they might think American football, soccer field.
So the way the communities are set up, it's one community versus another. And I remember that day, the one set a guy on one side and the other set a guy on the other side, and they were just going at it. And so that picture haven't left my mind, because I'm like, I've never seen anything like this before. So that would be one of the things. It's just like constantly thinking, am I gonna be okay? Am I gonna get stray shots somehow, or is it safe? Is my mom gonna be okay coming in late at night sometimes from whatever she's doing? So that would probably be one of the biggest struggle that I encountered.
Mm-hmm. You told me off camera that your mom got ill and you guys became subsequently homeless. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, a little bit. When my mom was pregnant with my youngest brother, she ended up having health issues, and so she had to stay in the hospital for 2 months to ensure that she was healthy and the baby was healthy. And so when she came back from the hospital, our business had faced a downfall. So the monies weren't there to pay back people who credited goods and stuff like that. And so we start from there. It started becoming a decline in the way of life. We started closing down some of the businesses, and eventually she had to close everything. And at that point, it was like, okay, what can we do now? So she ended up leaving Jamaica to go and live in the Cayman Islands to work with my aunt. And she left us behind, but we actually had a nice house at the time rented that we were living in. And so I remember one day we went home, and the house that we rented, I still don't, to this day, don't know the story, but it wasn't me that rented it. It was somebody else. And we got home that day, and there was police at the house, along with a lady on top of her voice screaming that this is her house and she did not rent it to anyone, and they were just throwing the stuff outside.
See, how old were you at this time?
17.
17-year-old, you saw in your stuff being tossed
Yes.
outside.
Yeah. So going back to your question, that may have been one of the most traumatic experiences for me, because we literally had just moved in about 2 months ago. And that day specifically was the day that we finally cleaned and get my aunt and everybody to come over, and we organized everything. So we just left. It was an Ash Wednesday, and we left to go back to Central Village to eat dinner because we didn't cook. We just spent the day cleaning. And so on our way back, we saw the police, and I'm like, what's going on here? Like, why are these people in my house? And I tried to go in, and the police was just pushing me out. Don't come in here. And she's like, don't let her come in. And I'm like, what is happening right now? This is where I live. And they throw everything out.
Where you guys slept that night?
We went back to my aunt and we slept there. And after that, we ended up having to split. So it was 4 of us. We all ended up going different places to stay because now we don't have a set place.
Wow. How was that though, knowing that you're separated from your siblings, knowing that you are the bigger one, really?
It wasn't a good feeling. I definitely missed my siblings. I especially missed my little brother, who was doing awesome, by the way. Shout out to him for coming to America on a scholarship for lacrosse. And yesterday he was in the news regarding his food business. So he's following in my mom's footsteps. So shout out to him for just doing great things at 22-year-old.
Wow.
Yes, it's definitely my son, and that in itself is another amazing story, because with him, and I don't want to deviate from the other question.
Oh, go ahead.
With him, he got separated. He went to his dad, but after he was about 3, he came back to live with me. And so with my mom being gone for 8 years, of course she visited, but she was really gone for 8 years. He ended up primarily living with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she came back, he was 11, and I'm like, yes, finally, I can be free of these kids. I love y'all, but I want to go and live my life now. And so I moved out, and I went to live in Kingston.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, he passed for George's, sorry.
He's bright.
Yeah, he passed for George's, and he was like, sis, can I come and live with you again? And so he came to live with me in Kingston. So again, it was like we were inseparable. Like he was just everywhere that I went, he was there. Then I left Jamaica when he was 17, and I moved there. And this boy follows me. So he's literally in the US. He lives with me when he's not at school. So it's just one of those stories where I'm really proud that he's actually following in my footsteps and doing really good for himself, and not out here just becoming, statistic.
Awesome. I need to get with him. All right. So talk to us about college, because I guess that was what why you moved to Kingston.
No, I moved to Kingston when I started working, but
Okay.
a little bit about college. What is college? That was my reaction. What is college? What? So when I graduated from high school,
Mm-hmm.
I remember it was that day everybody was like, "Hey, what you gonna do now? Where you going?" And everybody's talking about school and university. And in my mind, I'm like, "What is wrong with these people? You're supposed to go and work. You leave high school, and that's what you're supposed to do because that's what I saw everybody in my family did. Nobody went to no college." Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember everybody was talking about where they're gonna go, and so I called Daddy, and I'm like, "Daddy, apparently I'm supposed to be going to college now."
Apparently, I'm supposed to go to college. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
apparently I'm supposed to be in college. So I started calling around. I called UE. They had closed application because you have to apply from the year before. I
yeah.
called Tech, you have to apply from the year before as well. So I was like, wow, so I guess I really have to go work. But then I called Excelsior Community College and they were still accepting application. And I enrolled for business administration and went there for the first year, which I failed miserable. I failed.
Talk to us about that.
Yes, I remember I studied for marketing exam. And when I got to the exam center and I sat down and they put the paper before me, it was pre-calculus. I
Mm-hmm.
stared at the paper in disbelief, like, how did I make this mistake? And so I started crying and the paper just started getting wet and I just called the teacher and I'm like, I can't do this. So I
Mm.
failed that exam. And even though I studied for marketing because of the mix up and my brain just being shattered with all, everything, I ended up failing marketing too.
Yeah.
Uh, and there was another subject and I was like, this ain't me. I'm not gonna call my father and ask him for money to resit anything. So I decided to find a job. And that's how I ended up at the National Youth Service. I did a 1 month community service where I learned a lot, and then they placed us in a job, which I ended up working at the National Works Agency for a year.
Okay. You came out very well out of Central Village.
Uh-huh.
What is the likelihood of a young girl turning out as well as you, given the environment and the stigmatism of Central Village? What is the likelihood on a scale of 1 to 10? What chance do you give someone given what is present there?
I don't know the real statistics, but if I should guess, I will go with out of the 10,
Yeah.
every three female would get out.
Wow. That's 30%.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you're at the National Work
Works Agency.
Agency. What's next?
So while working there, there was this guy that I was attracted to.
Mm.
And I tell a story because he really shaped the rest of my life. I used to like looking at him. And so every opportunity there was to go and deliver files to that department, I would be the one to volunteer to go and do it. And I remember one day I was walking by and I saw a screen and it was different from what my screen would look like. Yeah, it was a black screen with a lot of coding and it was just not what I was used to. So I started to use that to finally have a conversation with this man.
Mm-hmm.
I asked him what it
Will you
was.
talk about coding?
Yes.
Thank God.
I asked him what it is he was doing, and he said he was writing a code. So I said, what does that even mean? And he ran it and he showed me the output and what it's about. And I was like, oh, wow, this is interesting. Where can I learn this? Like, I would like to be a coder too. And maybe at the time it was, I want to impress this man. I want this man to think I'm smart. But at the same time, it was, I'm really interested in learning about this. This is fascinating to me.
Yes.
he went to the University of Technology, and I asked him, how can I get in? He said, you need 5 CXC subjects. Luckily for me, I had 5 CXC subjects, and I applied. I got in to that same exact program, did my 4 years, and graduated with an enterprise computing degree, which focuses on programming and database development.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is it a case where, because you just pounced up on college, because you never knew you were supposed to go to college, so you just choose a degree which was business? Because why I mention it, because there's no way you could fail a business course and perhaps computer programming. So
Right.
is it that you were really vested and interested in computer programming? And if that's the case, what do you say to young people in terms of choosing something that they're passionate about rather than going with the norm?
Yes, I definitely pounced up on business administration because, as you rightfully said, it's not a difficult program, but I was a mentally there because I wasn't in the mindset I was going to school. I was still in the mindset that I'm going to work, make money. That's what I wanted to do. So there's that. But also, it's important to choose something that you have a passion for. For me, I liked seeing the output of the program. I like solving problems and developing coding to make something work. So it was easier for me to invest the time and energy into learning that as opposed to something else that just seems basic to me.
Because I'm sure you had to do some calculus in programming.
Yes, I did that course all over again.
The same thing you ran from, right?
Yes, yeah.
It just goes to show that passion, what you're really passionate about. And if you really want it, you'll do it.
Yes.
Okay. So you have a degree in, tell us the degree again.
In enterprise computing, which is a term that, but I think it would be considered as computer science.
Okay. You also told me off camera you have an MBA. You went back into the business degree. Talk to us about that.
And listen, I tell you, I don't like failing anything. So, so I feel like I had to redeem myself from that failed community course. So I went back after 2 years. So backtrack a little bit. I completed my bachelor's in enterprise computing. There was a job fair at UTech. And they interviewed me, 3M. So I worked for 3M, which is an American company. They interviewed me, I got the job. So immediately after school finished on that Friday, the following morning, I was actually in a job. So there wasn't a gap where I was searching for work. So I started working there, and within 2 years, I was like, okay, I am ready to pursue my my master's. So I went back and I did a master's in business administration.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
I don't want to use the term that anomaly. So you're an anomaly from Central Village. But it's not very many people turn out like this with a bachelor's and an MBA from Central Village. What do you say to those young girls?
It's definitely not where you're from. It's your drive and determination and resilience that's going to take you there. If you believe that you are stuck in a system that's what you deserve and that's it's gonna be, then that's what's gonna happen. For me, I always knew I deserved better. I always knew I can do better, and I just needed to find the path, the direction that's gonna take me there. And for me, it's been education.
Thank you very much. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
When was the first thought printed in your mind about coming to America?
When I was a child, just watching the airplanes fly by and watching what America has to offer from TV shows, it always appeared to be a land of opportunity, and it was much cleaner. And when my aunts would visit, they all look beautiful. Like they don't look like they're struggling. So I always wanted to visit and possibly live here.
Okay. All right. So when was the first time you got the opportunity to come here? Because you did the work and travel program as well.
Yes. So after starting UTech in 2006, I learned about the work and travel program. And so it was too late to apply for 2007. So I ended up applying, and I got opportunity to come to America in 2008, where I worked at Universal Studios as well as did other side work as well. And then I did it the following year, where I went to Maryland to work at a restaurant as well. So washing all those pots and serving those people was something that I actually did in 2010.
How many jobs you had in America? Because you know, sometimes my friend said to me, "Come on, you're Jamaican. You should work overtime."
Yeah, you can tell who's Jamaican from who's not by the number of jobs they have. But for me, I remember in when I did the one in 2009, I literally had 4 jobs. I was working at a restaurant, at a supermarket, at Domino's, and at a uniform store. 4 jobs. Yes.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Go ahead. You were saying.
I was gonna say it helped with my school fees. So a girl had to do what she had to do to make that money.
You had to pay your school fee. But some people look at you now and say you're lucky.
Me lucky, yes. Me lucky. I'm blessed. I'm not lucky actually. I'm blessed. But daddy helped. Daddy definitely helped. So my father paid my first 3 years of my bachelor's. And then the last year, I had to take a student loan. But luckily for me, I was randomly selected for the government grant, which paid $50,000 from that tuition. So I ended up just having to pay the balance of that for the last year. And then I actually worked and paid for my master's. So I still didn't end up with a student loan at the end of that. So, yeah.
How was it? How was it with your siblings while you were in college? Did you constantly keep in touch? Or how was it?
They lived with me at that time. So
They lived with you.
yes. So my mom.
You said they.
Yes. So my mom, it was 4 of us. My mom was still in the Cayman Islands. And so from a very young age, I had to grow up real quick. So my siblings, it was 4 of us. We lived together. We had a cousin that would come over and help us out, help us cook dinner from time to time. But for the most part, it was the 4 of us that was living there. So I had to be the mom. And I oftentimes say it's a blessing and a curse, because the blessing aspect of it is it allowed me to mature from an early age and see the big picture and see how difficult life can be. But on the other flip side, it's like I oftentimes hear, "Oh, you're so mature for your age." And while that's a good compliment, at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to hear that. I want to be my age.
Yeah.
I want to be my age. And so it was a struggle, having to go to school, come back home, take care of the kids, ensure that they were doing their schoolwork, and all the other struggles that comes with raising teenagers. And it wasn't easy. It definitely wasn't easy. And we were doing that without the help of any male figure as well. So it wasn't easy.
What's the relationship like now? I know you spoke about your brother. What about the other 2 siblings?
We have a great relationship. My other brother is in the Cayman Islands. My sister is in Jamaica. So we all have a great relationship still.
Okay, that's good. Congrats, man. Congrats. Okay, so this is what year did you finish your MBA?
2014.
2014?
Mhm.
And I can see your graduation picture right there.
Yes, that one is for my bachelor's, but I do have the master's
Come
somewhere.
on, let us see them. Let us see them. Let us see them. Let us see them.
So this is the master's. And as you can see, it was a master's from the US. So I did the course online and then I went to Chicago and graduated there.
Where in Chicago?
In the city, in the city.
I was just in the city.
Yes, that's where I came. That was my first time. I did the Sears. Is this a Sears? The Sears Tower, the high rise building.
Yeah.
Just there. It was a great trip. And this is my UTech picture.
Yeah. Little Yanique.
What? And these pictures mean a lot to me because again, from a girl who knew nothing about college, becoming the first person in my family to actually go to college and change the statistics. First generation college graduate, first to own a car. And that story about owning the car it's funny in itself. My stepdad, as I told you, he loved us. He loved us greatly. But he only had a bicycle. And so he saw us, it was all four of us on that one bicycle. And I don't know if you know anything about the mineral bath in Caymanas, but all four of us would be riding on that bicycle to the mineral bath.
4 kids on one bike.
Actually, let me take that back. My little brother wasn't born there. It was 3 of us.
Where were you sitting on that bike?
So I am usually on the bar.
The bar.
Then my sister's on the ankle.
Your sister is on the
My dad is on the
seat because he's riding.
And then my brother is on the back.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
you cannot beat this up, you know.
No. So we would be riding everywhere. Everywhere you saw him, you saw us, and we saw it as fun. We were going places.
Looking back, you appreciate him now.
I love that man. I love him. He definitely showed me what it means to love someone, even if they don't have the financial capacity to support you financially. So I love him. He died 2 years ago, but
wow, I'm sorry to hear.
Yeah, I love him. But yeah, so when I bought my first car, and don't tell anybody that I say this, but when I bought my first car, it was like I wanted a car, but I also didn't have anybody to teach me to drive. And so I decided, hey, I'm going to buy this car and use it to practice.
You can't make this up. Yanique, you just cannot make this up. You bought a car and then you're going to practice on it out to drive. What type of car it was?
It was a Nissan Sunny, a gray 2007 Nissan Sunny, and I bought it and I practiced with it and I bumped it and I scratched it and I tell myself when I finish learning how to drive, I'll spray it and I'll fix it.
So you were one of them on the road that said, "It's most a woman driving."
Yes, and now they say why you drive like a man?
Wow. That's good. The journey is good. Okay, so let us move on from there, the big move when you decided to come to Americas, because we see where you have gone through college, school, take care of your siblings, got your degree, got your MBA, work at the National Land Agency. Let's springboard now into America. What year did you came here?
I moved there in 2018.
2018. Okay.
So prior to that, I had came up on an opportunity to help Jamaicans to make a living from the comfort of their homes. So, and I was doing workshops and teaching individual, empowering them basically, hey, you don't have to focus your mind on just working in an office. There are other opportunities out there. And so majority of my clients were in the US.
Mm-hmm.
At the time when I was thinking about moving there, the idea was once I'm in America, I'll be able to get more clients to support the business.
The business.
So I'll be going back and forth to have these workshops, but also I'll be where the clients are, and I could go into businesses and talk to them. So I remember when my ex asked if I wanted to get married, I told him yes, and I shared the idea of the business with him, which he was okay with that as well. He was like, "Yeah, that's a good idea." So I moved there in 2018, but we got married prior to that and started the paperwork before I was able to actually fully move to America.
Mm-hmm. Were you excited?
Yeah, I was excited. It was a great feeling to know that I am moving to the land of opportunity. I know I would be able to help my family better, considering some of the struggles that we face. I know that I was going to be put in a position to do more.
Mm-hmm. Lots of Western Union.
Yeah.
Knowing you, you're sophisticated. You probably do it on your computer or on your phone.
I do.
Because Yanique not going to join that line at Walmart to send money back home. Okay. So you're in America 2018.
Yes.
What was that like? What was your next move? Because obviously you're a very progressive girl. What was your next move? Do I need to get a job? Because you came here, fortunately, you came here with documents.
Yes. So I think that's a blessing for me because, of course, there are times when people move here and then think about adjusting their status afterwards. But the way that I did it, I stayed in Jamaica until it was completely, the process was completely finished. Then I moved here. So I did my interview in Jamaica at the embassy and got through. And then when I landed, they processed me for my green card.
But those that are watching this video right now, tell them how long did the process took?
The process took about 16 months, 16 to 18 months for the process to take place living in Jamaica, but it could also be quicker if you move here, then adjust the status afterwards.
Okay. Thank you for that. All right. So you came here, you got your documents, and you came to Atlanta?
Yes, directly to Atlanta. Mm-hmm.
How is it in Atlanta?
I like it. It's very progressive. It's a Black people hub. So if you are a Black person with an idea or wants to start your own business, it's just really a place of Black professionals to strive. And so what I like most about it is that there's no snow. At least.
You're going to just throw that at me like that? You must live in Illinois. You just like do that to me like that?
We don't see that very often. So I like that.
Yeah.
And it's in between what Chicago would be like and what Florida would be like. It's like in the middle. So I like the weather. And overall it's just a great place to be. It's considered the new Hollywood.
Okay. Yeah. Especially where music is concerned too.
And movies, yeah.
Yeah. Because Tyler Perry built a studio there, right?
Yes.
Okay. That's good. All right. What were some of the early how do I put it now? Like realization, like, okay, I have to do this different now that I'm here in America. Like, a la stop convert the money.
Yes.
Because I used to do that a lot. I used to convert the money. I said, oh my God, I can't pay so much for this.
Is it?
What were some of the early realization for you doing when you know that you're here in America?
One is it's important to not like get mad at people when they ask you to send them money because it ain't easy. So that was one of the first realization that I came to in 2000.
Why you say that? Why you say that?
Imagine you or somebody that live in New York that have to get out of their bed and shop snow. I have to put that out there.
Don't
Shop,
remind me.
yeah, shop snow because they have to drive to work and it's cold and they have to be wrapped up and then they have to work and get a few bucks to go home with and somebody call and say, hey, can you help me? But then the bills are piling up and you have to pay all those bills. But that person in Jamaica don't understand because America is a bed of roses with lots of opportunity. They don't see it like that. And so when I came here and I started working and I saw how much, how hard I had to work and the amount of hours I have to put in just to make some money, I realized that it's unfair for us to be upset at somebody when we ask them for money and they don't have it because it's really, really hard.
Okay. How was the work environment like in terms of people? Because you know in Jamaica we're very friendly. How was it here for you? Your own experience?
I realize that people take things seriously here. So it's not like Jamaica where if you drop, we laugh first and then pick you up after. This is serious and everybody takes everything personal. And so from I got here, that's something that I had to learn real quick that you cannot joke about every and anything because you're gonna offend somebody.
Mm-hmm.
For a good while, I couldn't understand until I actually did a course called communication style. And I realized what my communication style is versus other people and why some people would take some things offensive because it's said a certain way, but in reality, you're actually just getting straight to the point, but they take it as you're being aggressive. And so that's something that I had to learn real early to watch how I say things or people will take it the wrong way.
Okay, all right. Tell me the things that you love about America. Why should somebody come here? Why should someone leave their country and come here?
It's a land of opportunity.
But you just said you have to work hard and go out in the snow. How could it be?
It when you think about that $100 that you work here,
Okay.
you convert it back home, it can do so much back home if you're able to make it work. And so even
Time out. So for those who are watching that are not from Jamaica, because I know a lot of Jamaicans will be watching it, 100 US dollars is about 15,500 Jamaican dollars.
yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, so that's a 15,500 that can go a long way for the Jamaicans. They can get grocery, they can pay a bill or something, but it is hard work and you find less time to really sit and have fun like it is in Jamaica. But because the way that if I should do a real comparison, I view America as you go to work, you come home, you sleep, you go to work, you come home, you sleep. Until there's those times where you actually take the vacation and go and have some fun, you're stuck in that routine of work.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit lighter, in my opinion, where you go to work and you find that time to actually hang out with your friends and chill and laugh on the street side, even after in the evening. I don't know if the work is not hard or what, but we used to find time to socialize, at least for me. So that would be one of the things that I see as a big difference as it relates to the two. Your money go a longer way when you're here to send it back home to help.
Talk to us about coming from a cash country to where you have to maintain a good credit score? Because I remember when I went to go buy my car, my Jeep, the lender said, it doesn't matter your educational background, as long as you have this score,
Yeah.
this level, you can get anything you want once you work it in America. Talk to us about having to adjust and to maintain a credit score versus a cash country.
So I will say, I'm very future minded.
Mhm.
So for me, when I came here in 2008, I came here with the future in mind. So I got a credit card.
Mhm.
So that, and when I went back to Jamaica, I maintained it. So I would buy stuff in online and ensure that I send money back to America to my cousins to pay my credit card bill. And so when I finally moved here 10 years later, I already had credit
Mm.
in the US. And that is how I was able to get my first car when
Time out, because we want um everybody to understand that are watching from Jamaica, that is watching from Jamaica, sorry. You already have credit, meaning you have a credit score.
yes.
Okay, all right. So guys, a credit score of a particular range, right? I think anything in the 600 bracket is, you want to be at 700 and above to have a good credit score. Go ahead, Fab.
Yes. So I ensured that I was building my credit even before I moved here. A lot of my friends that came on the program, once they went back to Jamaica, they discard of their credit card. But for me, I was like, no, I understand what credit means, and so I maintained it. But just to add, Jamaica is also trending in that direction now. So Jamaica is operating from a credit score point of view.
Hmm,
Yes.
really?
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
But is it, because I remember when I was there, it wasn't that easy to get a credit card.
No, it's still not that easy. But I did have a credit card there, and that's how I know that they started to do those checks to see what you have outstanding.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Okay, so which one you prefer? You prefer the credit system or the cash system?
I'm a credit system type of person because one of those financial advisor said that use other people' money and invest your money.
Mm.
And so I've always operated from that point of view that even if I have the cash to do it, I'm going to use my credit card and buy it just for the points as well as to help to build my credit because at the end of the month, I'm going to pay it back anyways.
Was there ever a time where somebody asked you for money in Jamaica and it was just difficult to do it, even though you did it? Were you ever into that tight jam here in America?
Yeah, when I just moved there, and having to start all over, fresh with my son, it was tight. It was very tight. I had to find a place to live, buy new furnitures, get a car. So it was a lot of things that was going on in that time frame that I didn't have anything to extend to anybody else. It was just all about me and my son at that time. And so I remember someone asked me, and I'm like, I don't have it. And the person actually didn't speak to me for a little bit.
You don't, because why it's important, because we're here and we know that things here are, there's a lot of expense here. It's not like Jamaica,
Yeah.
you know, it's like more of a faster paced country and the bills come at high level. But someone would say, why stay here if it's so hard? What do you say to that person?
Yes, definitely. When you start, as you mentioned earlier, when you start to convert it, I was living in a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home in Jamaica, and I was paying 50,000, which should probably be what?
350.
Yeah, about 350. So having now paid a rent of $1,400, it was like mentally I'm doing a comparison with
200,000.
yeah, right. And so,
200,000.
and so it's not easy. And then you have to add utility. So yeah, light, water, cable, internet, everything that comes with that. And it's
Yes.
yes, right. And a lot of the new bills, as you mentioned, gas, I was like, gas, what is that? And my gas bill, I'm embarrassed to say this because I still don't know how, but I got my bill yesterday and it was $450 for the month. I don't know what.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I don't know what I did wrong. And that's something that I still have to like get.
You know, you gotta check that out because I don't pay 450 and I live in a cooler state.
Yes, I think what I think I did wrong was not setting the schedule to be like
Or the thermostat.
yeah.
The
So I think it's
thermostat.
running all day, all day, all day, all day without actually breaking.
Okay, guys. So what she's explaining is the thermostat that maintains the temperature in the house. If you set it a particular, it needs to be what's that word I'm looking for? Where it chips out once it reaches a certain, and then
Yeah.
it's back out when the temperature drop. But yours was just running all day.
For the entire month it appeared because when I look into the settings, it showed that I had my schedule turned off, which I usually have it on.
Mhm.
So I saw, and then one of the things that I do is auto bill,
Yeah.
and I usually don't see these things until after they already get the money. So
We should set you should set the so it's connected to your phone. So even if you're at work, you can
on the phone, I just
earn.
yeah.
You gotta daddy.
Yeah.
It will help daughter. Okay. So what are some other things that you love about America?
I love how easy, like, okay, so I went back to Jamaica in December
Okay.
and I was stressed. I was exhausted. I told myself, yeah, I made the right choice. Because the banking system is not the best. I'm literally going into the bank to replace a card, and it took me 2.5 hours just to get a new card. I want to get my cash from the bank, and it took me an hour and a half just to get my cash. I want to, and this is the funniest thing, I want to go and get my own money,
Mm-hmm.
and they need me to go and get JP to authorize that it's me when my IDs are in front of me and my TRN is in front of me and my face is in front of you. But I have to get JP to say, hey, this is actually her. So those things for me is when it comes to America, it's easy. You go in, you're out in 10, 15 minutes, you get what you went in for. So the process is they're more efficient. You know, you are able to make more money. You are able to travel easier from point A to point B, as opposed to if you're in Jamaica, you have to get visa for everything. So it's just the ease of the way the country is set up with grocery, with card payment, cashless. You can use your phone to do a lot of things. It's just a more efficient way of living.
Wow. Okay, guys. For those who are, she mentioned JP because I have to do this for the audience.
Yes.
It's what we call a notary here in America. All right. So justice of the peace, even a pastor is a justice of the peace. But what surprised me here, that's one of the things that surprised me here, Yanni, that regular people are notary.
Yes, a lot of regular people.
You could call a notary to come to you because I have notary that come to me.
Yeah.
$20, like regular people are notary. Like that for me was eye opener when I found that out. That
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
The UPS store and get your documents notarized.
unbelievable. I love it. I love it. I
Yes.
love it. I love it. Okay, so what are some of the challenges though that Yanique had to overcome to be sitting in her own home, which we're going to get to here in these United States of America?
Oh, Shaggy.
That you're comfortable of sharing. Because as the podcast says, My Journey to America, this is your journey, this is your story. What are some of the things that you had to overcome? The Bible said, by your testimony, you have overcome.
Yes. So when I moved there because I was married. So I moved there to start my family with my ex. And unfortunately the relationship didn't work.
Therefore,
Those of you who know or don't know, there are two different types, or probably more than two different types, but as it relates to marriage, there are two
yeah.
different types of green card that you can have. You can have a conditional green card or the permanent green card.
Okay.
The conditional green card comes into play if you get your green card if you were married for less than 2 years.
Yes.
So when you get your conditional green card, you need to ensure that you stay married for another 2 years to show the US that this is legitimate.
They have to go in on an interview.
Then you have to do a second interview.
Okay.
Unfortunately for me, my marriage ended before that 2 years period.
Really?
Yes. And so I did not get my permanent green card before the marriage ended. That was stressful. So that was a stressful period for me because now, am I going to go back home? Are they going to believe that it was a legitimate marriage? So I started doing a lot of research. I reached out to lawyers online. I signed up for Legal Shield so that they could advise me on how to approach the situation. I used Apple to ask lawyers questions. I read articles because I wanted to see what I can figure out with the least money possible.
Mm-hmm.
And, because you and I know a lawyer fee ain't cheap. And so one thing I'm happy that I am is educated enough to understand some of these terms that were being mentioned. And what I didn't understand, I was able to Google it. But during that time, it was one of the most stressful periods of my life because now I am having to apply for this, plead my case, explain to them what happened, and trust that they believe me. And it's not an overnight process. It's you have to wait another year or so for them to send back their decision. So during that 1 year, it's mentally exhausting because you don't know what the outcome is going to be.
Okay. And because possible removal can take place.
Yes.
Because once they feel like, it wasn't legit, then they don't like that. Okay, so from a mental standpoint though, you said it was stressful. How did you cope with work? You have a son, family back home at the time, probably asking for $50, $100 whilst dealing with this.
Only God knows.
Only God knows. That's a good answer.
Only God knows. But during that time, with everything that was going on, as I mentioned, it was very stressful. So I decided to channel my energy in a different direction. And that's when I started to focus on designing my gratitude journal. because
Mm-hmm.
I realized my mind was being consumed with all the negativity that was going on around me. It was a stressful environment, being in the space of my ex, and I just didn't want to focus on all that. And so that's when I decided to design my gratitude journal, because I wanted to get up every day and document all the good things that are still happening and the things that I'm constantly grateful for.
If you're faithful over a few, I'll make you a ruler of many.
I hope.
Okay. All right. So I'm thinking that you probably have to find somewhere to live. How was that?
Yes. So
And it's still brand new, relatively new to America.
yes, yes. When my divorce was finalized, I decided that it was time to move. So I moved out and got my own place. I got a 2-bedroom apartment, and it took money to furnish it because at this time I had a young baby as well. So I'm taking care of a child. I remember when I got that apartment, I put him on the ground and I sat on the ground and I started crying. And I'm like, thank you, Lord. I finally found a place. I can rest easy and just give God thanks for the blessing that He has put in front of me, because it wasn't easy. It was me running around with my baby in the back of the car, trying to find that place for me to live in. Uh, but
How long it took you to find a place?
I would say about a month. Uh, about a month. It took me that much time, but it was stressful. And before I even got to the point of looking for an apartment, I had to find a car, because the car that I had to give it back to my ex as well. And
It took
so,
you back.
yes, I had to give it back to him. He told me that he needed his car back. And so I gave it back to him, and I started running around to find a car as well.
Did you have a confidant or you just kept everything by yourself?
I did. I met a few people during that time that I confided in. With the car situation, there was a friend that I knew from Jamaica that lived there, and so I remember I called her up and I'm like, "Hey, can you drive me around to help me to get a car?" And she said she was going to Jamaica. So I asked her if she could allow her husband to take me around and help me to get a car. So he did. He supported me, but for whatever, I don't know what happened. But shortly after that, she cut me off. And I'm like, what did I do? So
Mhm.
yeah, so that happened. I did ended up getting a car though. And
Mhm.
so I was hurt by it, because I'm like, she's supposed to have my back. So I don't understand what happened during that most challenging, difficult time of my life. But she she reached out eventually. She said she was going through a rough time with her own life, and I can respect that. Um But at the time, I was like, I don't know what happened. Like, I need you.
Yeah.
But anyways, so I got my car, and that was what helped me to drive around and get an apartment as well. And then I moved in and I tried to furnish it. But during that time, it was hard.
Where were you staying? Can you say it took you a month before you find somewhere? Where were you staying at that time?
I was still living with at my
Okay. Were you contemplate going back home? Because you had a good career back home. You weren't one of them that had it rough back home. Did you ever contemplate going back to Jamaica?
I have. I definitely did contemplate it. I got to a point where I was like, well, I have a young baby. I don't have a support system. I have nobody to say, hey, watch this child for me so I can go and do this. And I also started to feel a bit overwhelmed, because I'm so used to being the person that is go and getting things done and having these business ideas and implementing them and just exploring life and doing big things. And so my son slowed me down. And mentally, I was at a point where I'm like, I need a solution. This is hard. I'm not used to this. I need to get back to where I was. So for a very long time, I was struggling with that thought process there was a friend said to me, your life is different now. You do not have the same lifestyle. Before you didn't have a son, now you have a son. You have to start thinking about life differently. You have to start setting different goals. It's not going to be the same. And that's when I came to realization that my life will not be the same for real.
Okay. So you got the place. How long did that immigration process took to resolve?
So I got the place in 2019. And I applied in 2020 around March thereabout.
Right in COVID.
Yes. And then they sent out my biometrics request in October of that year.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, COVID is happening. And so I did not get the request. For whatever reason, I did not get the mail. And so when I finally saw it, the date had already passed. So that slowed up the entire process now, because now I have to wait completely actually, that's not true. So the date that they gave me initially, they closed down that, because that's it. In the midst of COVID, they closed down everything and I couldn't go to that date. And so they sent another request in November for me to go and do the biometrics, and that date passed me. I was like, what is this? Like, no, I missed 2 days. So that's not extending the time frame.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I finally got the new notice, it's now in the following year.
3 times.
Yes, 3
You're
times.
special. You're special.
3 times. So I went and did the biometrics, and now I'm waiting because, of course, considering the circumstances, you are expected to go in and have an interview with your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
To solidify that you can get a 10-year green card. I don't have a spouse to go in with.
Yeah.
So now I'm thinking about what are the questions they're going to ask me, because I'm now a single person filing to remove this condition under circumstances that I'm not a divorced person. So how do I go in and explain this, and how will they believe me? But going back to what I said before, I was doing all my research. So when I submitted my application, I had everything that I think should be in it. Letters from friends, letters from family, pictures, everything to show what our life looked like leading up to the point. So I submitted that document, and now I'm waiting for the interview, because now I did the biometrics. I'm waiting for the interview. There was no interview. And this is another reason why I tell you, God always got my back. There was no interview. I just checked the system and it says your card is on the way.
To God be the glory.
God be the glory.
Great things He has done.
Yes.
And continue to do.
And continue to do. I did not have to do an interview. So for those of you who are listening,
go ahead.
There are times when you will be required to come in and do an interview. There are times when they may come and inspect your house, because that happened to a friend of mine. But there are also times when your story is so believable that even the blind can see that it wasn't any fraudulent business, and so an interview won't be required.
Thank you for sharing that. So I guess that was a de-stress moment.
Yes.
At least partially.
It was a relief, because a part of the nervousness and worry was that my ex had stated that he was going to sabotage it by writing a letter to immigration to say I'm a fraud. And so when I saw even immigration believed to the point where they did ask for an interview, I was like, to God be the glory.
Wow. Wow. Man, people can be difficult. Just leave it at that. So you got your 10-year green card. You're now a U.S. citizen.
I am on January 12th. I went in and I got my certification of naturalization. And so I am a US citizen. Yes.
Congratulations.
5 years later. And I also was able to buy my first house in 2021. That doesn't sound right. Is that how I'm supposed to say it?
Yes,
That...
2021, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got my first house. And the motivation behind that is during one of the arguments between my ex and I, he said, why don't you go and get your own place? And so I was like, okay, let me go and get my own place then, because another man will not be able to tell me to get out of his place or go and get your own place.
Congratulations again. You're a fighter. The little central village. Come on now. Let's come now. Looking back at the journey, because in all of this, you have managed to author 4 books.
No.
Can we see those books and tell us about those books so we can go ahead and listen? All of you watching this video, especially my Jamaicans friend, go and support our friend's book. She's going to talk about them right now. Okay? Go ahead for me, my friend.
So I spoke a little bit about this one. Gratitude
is a must. Yes.
It's a gratitude journal that focuses on the things that are going well in your life. So when you're feeling down and out, just pick up your book and think about some of the things that happen. Like for me, the simplest thing, like being in a line in a drive-through and getting to the cashier, and the cashier said, oh, the person in front of you paid for your meal. I write that down because that's something that I'm grateful for, and that's something special that happened to me that day. So
that happened to you?
Yes. I was like, oh, thank you. So this book is...
Maybe you was trying to see a computer screen too?
Who knows? So it's a gratitude journal, and I have it in 2 different versions. So the male version and the female version, because I know men that wouldn't have wanted the pretty flowers one. So I created different version.
Yeah.
And then I have Woman Mentality, which is a book that I co-authored with 13 other women. Focuses on how women actually leave their job and became independent and started their own business or started freelancing, which for me is a story about how I started the business back in Jamaica as a freelancer.
Yeah.
And then Yanique, Perfectly Imperfect, came about when I came across my yearbook from my high school. And it reminded me of some of the mean things that the students at my school had to say about me. Like, they didn't hold their tongues. Like, if you look at that book, you would be like, this is a memory book, and they didn't even think, okay, let me not write these bad things in it.
Exactly.
And so I was looking at it and I said, you know what? I went through all these challenges where people call me all these different names, and I'm sure there are others out there who are experiencing the same thing. So let me write this book so that I can try to help young boys and young girls to overcome some of their insecurities and stop viewing it as a flaw, but just embracing their differences. So that's what this one is about.
Congratulations. I mean, we're going to ensure that we put those description. So you deserve to be supported. You have been through a lot. Looking back at the journey, what's next for Yanique or Unique?
When I think about where I'm coming from, looking back at where the journey began,
Yeah.
say, I'm strong. I'm strong. All praises to the Most High God.
Yeah.
That's one thing I will say. Even though I can't sing, that's a song that I really resonate with, because the journey has been it's been colorful. I like to cartel sing a song, say in pretty like a coloring book or something like that. I like to call my story a coloring book because it's very colorful.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that I view it is, it doesn't matter where you're from, what you've been through, it's how you allow it to shape your life,
Mm-hmm.
and how you want your journey to continue to look like. For me, I have a bigger goal,
Mm-hmm.
and that is to set my family up for success.
Mm-hmm.
That is to lead by example.
Mm-hmm.
That is to encourage and motivate as many people as I can. And that is also to help as many people in life that I'm financially capable to actually do. So my story is unique to me, but
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of areas and parts of my story that others can resonate with. And I I want to say at times it may, that the face that you see is the confident, strong, Yanique, but behind that there are a lot of challenges that I've faced, that I've had to overcome, and I know you are as well. Like the people watching this also encounter stuff that are dealing with, but just view it as these things are to happen for God to get you to the point where you're supposed to be. If everything is going well, where are the challenges? Where are the things that God is going to take you through? So
Mm-hmm.
that's it.
I'm going to give you the final word for Jamaicans that come to the US looking for that dream. Because sometimes the American dream can be to own a car and own a nice house like you. What do you say to those people? Especially for the one that might still going through that immigration process.
Um, do your own research, especially for the immigration process. The first answer that any lawyer is going to tell you is to pay the money. But the reality is, if you do your own research and understand the intricacies of immigration, that will help you to save a few bucks. But if you just think that you are not able to understand the details of it, do what you have to do. But
It's just a document, really.
it's just filling out a form, and that's all you're paying them to do, to fill out the form for you. But if you think you're not capable of doing that, then you have to do what you have to do. That's one. Two, come here with a plan. And when you have a plan, you also need a backup plan. My plan was that I was coming to America, I'm married, I'm gonna start my family, and I'm also gonna focus on my business. That plan didn't come to fruition, but the backup plan was I had my degrees, and I was able to get a job that allowed me to continue on that journey of providing for my son and helping my family. So it's important for you to have a plan and a skill. If you can, try to get that skill or an education.
Mm-hmm.
Coming to America and starting from the ground up, especially if you don't have any skill, it's going to be challenging. So prepare for that challenge if you're in that situation, because I know it's not going to be perfect. So you will probably start from the bottom, but while working your way up, think about how you can change your circumstance and not just get complacent in the situation that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, get out of your head. You're your situation can change. It's not going to just get worse. It can change for the better. And if you believe that, it's not going to happen.
Mhm. Are you happy that you made the decision to come to America? Looking back at the journey, you're happy.
I am.
Okay.
I am happy that I made the decision. I do believe that um, it's a better place for my son to be.
Mhm.
Even though there's the whole black man in America and police officer and fear of that. But until I get to that river, I'll cross it. But right now, I think it's the best place for my son. The opportunity that exists in America is vast. So if you're thinking about coming to America, it's a great place to be.
Mhm.
To be able to make your money. If you're planning to retire back home, make sure you have an account down there that you're sending money to and not just here blowing all the money. But it is, I am happy.
Man, Yanni, what more can I say? Your story is one for the books. And this is why I love this podcast, or the idea of the podcast is for people to get a chance to share their story. Because soon, when they look at you, the success, they're going to remember that there was a time you were driving around with your kid looking for somewhere to live. There was a time in your life when you never knew if the problem might put you into removal. You went through that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And that's why the journey is important. Because now that the story is out, when they look at Yanni, they look at the word resilience come to mind. When they look at Ashana K, the word resilience, temperament comes to mind because of what you guys have been through. My last guest lost all his siblings in the Civil War in Liberia. Think about that, and he still had to navigate his way. The stories on the channel, he still had to navigate his way and he became a chief engineer here, director of engineering with all of that going on. Never saw his dad or never saw his mom from he left Liberia, come to America. So we want to thank you. You want to say something before we're
No, I was saying it's definitely not easy. The challenges and everything that we have to go through to make it here, it's not easy. The road is rocky.
Yep. And we know that. Talk to us about your social media handle because one of them say Yanni, the CEO, and when your business up and running, this time I'll come see you in person. Yeah, probably in your office, right?
Yeah.
And we do that interview. Talk to us about your social media handle.
Yes, I'm still manifesting that business that I'm gonna own in the future. So it's Yanique the CEO for my Instagram and my TikTok. And I'm trying to start going live on TikTok. So if you are interested in some of the content that I'll be putting out, follow me on both Instagram and TikTok. And then Facebook is Unique Yanique. So if you search that, you'll find me there. But yeah, I want to become a business owner, and I'm manifesting that daily that it's gonna eventually happen.
Wow. I just want to thank you for your time to sit down and have a little chat with us on the podcast. We appreciate your time because we know you're busy, and we appreciate you telling your story. Thank you very much. I'm gonna call it Unique Yannick because that story is unique. So Unique Yannick, all right?
It's unique.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me. Giving me the platform to even be able to tell a story. So I appreciate you.
Thank you very much.